Hello, fellow humans. This word degrowth will be in everyone's vocabulary by 2030. There will be rivers of memes about it. Let's be prepared. Here's a fresh definition. Degrowth is a reduction in consumption and production in rich countries to ease the ecological footprint, democratically planned in a spirit of social justice and concern for well-being. Degrowth will move all humans in all countries towards post-growth, which is a stationary economy in harmony with nature, where decisions are made together and wealth is equitably shared in such a way that humans can thrive without economic growth. Why the word degrowth? Feels like it's not that catchy, doesn't it? Well, that is on purpose. It is meant to be disruptive, so it cannot be stolen by the status quo marketing and have its meaning rebranded. Degrowth simply wants to replace capitalism that is obsessed with perpetual growth with a well-being economy, where instead of the profit motive, humans seek to increase and maintain their well-being. Here are my top 10 arguments for degrowth. Degrowth increases personal freedom and social justice. To simplify a bit, probably the number one reason for the severe political polarization we have today is around the notion of freedom. The right says, I want the government to stay out of my personal business. The left says, this minority or this minority deserves the same rights like everybody else. Or we need to tax the rich and distribute wealth. The right talks more about individual freedoms, while the left talks more about freedoms for groups of people. Degrowth cares about both, because it looks at what is possible given the limits of Earth. Both the political right and the political left, despite not liking each other, have no choice but to share the same planet. If all humans think in terms of a minimum threshold for well-being and a maximum ceiling for our material lifestyle, in the space between, freedom will be significantly enhanced for both individuals and groups at large. With a strong focus on decentralizing the economy and empowering local communities, degrowth also has the effect of reducing the power of central government. Degrowth wants less government. Moreover, degrowth takes inspiration from feminist economics when it talks about social justice. Sitting at the heart of degrowth, social justice empowers all demographic groups regardless of their identity. This transcends identity politics and shifts the conversation towards well-being for all humans. Degrowth reduces pressures on the environment. The plan is to reduce carbon emissions to keep global warming within 1.5 degrees Celsius from an individual footprint of about 14 tons of CO2 per year to about 2-3 tons per year per person by 2050 at the latest. People in rich countries will relearn that life can be fully enjoyed without heavy consumerism. In fact, happiness is more durable and more fun if it comes from an immaterial experience, such as talking to close friends. We tend to get bored with things, so we can easily live with less of them. Degrowth fixes colonial injustice. When Europeans decided to invade and colonize the rest of the world because they needed to grow their empires, they did it not with kindness, but with genocide and theft. The effects are still present today. This is why the People's Agreement of Cochabamba in 2010 was written. This is why the Red Deal exists. Degrowth endorses these documents and recognizes that the regime of land ownership will need to change fundamentally. Land will not be a commodity that is sold on the market. Land is our relative that we ought to care for as it is understood by indigenous peoples. Degrowth creates beautiful cities and beautiful landscapes. Beauty is as important to human flourishing as is happiness. Manufactured beauty is possible only with prosperity, democracy, and freedom. European beautiful castles and cathedrals were possible because of kings, lords, and popes who wielded huge fortunes. Stunning parks are now possible because democratically elected officials make them so. And freedom plays a substantial role in creating beauty because freedom is the spark for imagination. Natural beauty is possible when left alone, without the intervention of humans. Nature is its own artist. Degrowth shows that it's possible to have both manufactured beauty and natural beauty by upgrading our thinking about prosperity, democracy, and freedom. This is already happening in many places, known as eco-villages. Degrowth creates just prosperity for all humans. Since the 1980s or so, we have been told the lie that the rich deserve their wealth because of their hard work or whatever. This is supposed to be the order of things, the human nature. Degrowth exposes this lie and advocates for the drastic reduction of wealth and income inequality. More specifically, degrowth proposes universal basic income, universal basic services, minimum and maximum income, minimum and maximum wealth. It is not far-fetched. It has been done before in our recent history. We can do it again. Degrowth expands democracy in all areas of life. The idea of democracy is over 2,000 years old, and it is a work in progress. We cannot afford the alternatives. The continuation of humans on this planet depends on the continuation of democracy. While we must continue to fix political democracy by taking money out of politics and out of media, we must also put democracy where it's missing, in our economic life. Corporations and businesses must also become democratic for the greater good of well-being for all humans, not just profit for the few. This means managers and executives will be elected by employees for a limited term, and they will be accountable to the larger collective of workers, not to the opaque group of shareholders. Degrowth means less productive work and more free time. Producing less and consuming less, according to the degrowth definition, will free up a lot of time for workers. We will work less in productive activities, perhaps 10-15 hours per week, like making smartphones and cars, and we will enjoy life more to explore well-being, even if this means making YouTube videos or doing pottery or riding a bike or swim in a lake. Degrowth makes wars virtually impossible. The military-industrial complex contributes enormous destruction to the environment and to well-being in general. All national superpowers are guilty of military encroachment on life. Wars happen usually when power is unchecked, when democracy falters. While all nations have the right and freedom to defend themselves, all acts of aggression, from occupation of land to military coups that prop up capitalist corporations, do not have democratic legitimacy. When democracy expands in all areas of life, wars will become more and more difficult to erupt. The military-industrial complex will fall into ridicule and the trash bins of history. Degrowth offers a reasonable path towards the noble ideal of peace among humans and nations. Degrowth can maintain intelligent life on Earth for millions of years, with proper boundaries for well-being, from the minimum that ensures access to basic means for living to a maximum that ensures nobody oversteps the planetary boundaries. Degrowth can create a balanced society that can thrive on planet Earth for a very long time. Degrowth always remembers the finitude of nature and permutations of innovation that have to consider the limits of Earth. Innovation is limited by the human brain, is constrained by time and space, and ought to be motivated by increasing the well-being of life. Degrowth is a new philosophy of life. The degrowth movement and its collectives offer a new way of understanding happiness and satisfaction. Our imagination will upgrade to think about material boundaries and expand well-being within them. Even space exploration remains possible according to degrowth, as long as rockets are launched from a healthy planet and a healthy society. Getting rich without limits is a thing of the past, something to be ashamed of, something bizarre and detestable. Precisely because well-being does not mean more money or bigger houses. There are many policy proposals that degrowth has put forward in the hundreds. Rest assured, there are critiques to degrowth as well, and very good answers to all critiques. But we do not have time for them now, so hit subscribe, come back and watch them later, and make the YouTube algorithm very happy. I would like to thank my Patreons for helping me stay independent and ad-free. If you can support this channel, please visit my Patreon page at patreon.com/Vlad Bunea.